Hi, I'm Sophie. I have golden retrievers and I travel. I travel around Europe and around the UK as well with my dogs. So I thought I'd make this video just to give you some advice about travelling with your dogs when you go to the EU. So a lot of people are a bit nervous about taking their dogs aboard, partly because of travel restrictions. You have to get an animal health certificate now, and then also lots of other issues. So I'm going to cover getting an EU passport, which is now a lot harder than it used to be, for your dog, that is. And then also other issues like fleas. There's a special flea called Leishmania. I don't know if I'm saying it right. There's processionary caterpillars. There's different types of dog food. There's issues over how much dog food you can take with you. Well, you're not meant to take any dog food, but basically issues around dogs when you're travelling. Stray dogs are a problem in Spain, especially because not many people have their dogs neutered. When you go to France, people tend to have a lot of people just have one dog. A lot of people have small dogs. Most people neuter their dogs. When you go to Spain, people tend to have bigger dogs and they let the dogs roam. Okay, so I've only been to 2 countries with my dogs, Spain and France, so those are the only 2 I'm looking at. I can't tell you about other countries. I have thought about going to Morocco, but I'm quite reluctant to go there because of the rabies problem. And then the other problem is, if they're wandering, you worry about them following you home. There was a dog that followed me for like half a mile, and then I thought, well, I don't want to go too far in case the dog can't find its way home. You also worry about hitting dogs when you're driving because they like run along the roads. But actually the dogs you meet are all quite well socialised. They don't get lost, they manage to get home, they don't seem to get hit by cars. So yeah, even in areas where there's a lot of traffic, there's still dogs wandering around the streets. The other problem is this Leishmania, which is a type of flea beetle thing which you get on the beach. And I did actually meet a woman who her dog had gone blind from this being bitten by this thing, and apparently the disease can spread to people as well. So it's quite a serious problem. You only get it on the beaches and only in Spain. You don't get it in France. So I bought my dogs these flea collars, and although they had up-to-date flea treatment, the flea treatment you get in the UK won't cover you for this type of beetle. So you have to get a collar when you arrive in Spain before you get to the beach, and the collars cost about £20 each, but you can get them at chemists. You don't have to go to the vet. You should go into any chemist and they will have the right collar for you, and you just put, is there like 4 different sizes, choose the collar in the right size, put on your dog. Okay, processionary caterpillars are another problem. You get them in the woods, but the thing is you will always be able to see a nest of them. The problem is that dogs eat them and they're poisonous, right? But you will always see a nest. So if you go to the woods and you see nests, just basically you can't go into those woods. You've got to go somewhere else. Didn't bother me that much. I didn't see any apart from when I was driving, because I tend to stay in sunny places and I like the beach, so I didn't come across any at all. But they are a problem, but you will see the nests. Okay, another problem is dog food. You're not allowed, because since Brexit, start of 2022, you're not allowed to take any dog food into EU countries. You can apply for permission if your dog has a special diet, like if your dog's diabetic or something, you can apply. I think through your travel company, if you're going with ferry or Eurotunnel or something. But what I did was I hid some food. I didn't have a lot. I had about 3 days worth, and I hid it, well out of sight under the seat. Like sofa bed thing, so you'd have to like completely search the whole camper van to find it. And yeah, I don't know of anyone who's been searched or anyone who's got into problems with taking dog food. When I get there, I always buy the same dog food. I go to Carrefour and I buy Purina food. So I feed them Purina food at home, and I think Purina is quite a good quality make of dog food, a good brand. The tins are different because I also give them butcher's tinned food, and you can't get that. It's like tinned tripe. You can't get that in Spain. The real problem for me is that their tinned dog food comes in huge tins. It's like that wide, not the little tins. So I tend to put a lid on the tin food, which our dog food in England is like a standard size, like a tin of baked beans. It's that size, and you get a lid for the top so you can keep it in the fridge. So the ones in Spain are huge things like this. About 3 or 4 days. So you have to get a Tupperware container to keep that tin in, because you won't find the right size lid to put in the fridge. I just kept mine in a Tupperware and I kept it quite low down to keep it cool, and it was okay. Try to keep your dog's routine the same as you would have it at home. So I feed my dogs early, like 7 o'clock, and then I walk them from 9 till 10. If you're in a warm country, you might need to wake up quite early just to walk your dogs. So when I was in France last summer, it got quite warm, so I was actually walking them at 8 o'clock in the morning. So then I'd have to feed them like 6:30. You have to have an hour from when you fed them until when you walk them, and then I'd walk them, and then in the afternoons they would get hot. The camper van was getting hot, and if they were outside the camper van they were getting hot, so I would take them swimming. So I went to a campsite which had a huge lake in it. There were like 2 lakes. One, well, I think dogs weren't meant to swim there, but I went right up to the top, sort of out of sight, and then the dogs could swim in that lake. And then swimming just cools you down. So they ended up having like 2 swims a day, and they were perfectly cool. And that also applies to me. When I get warm, the best way to cool down is with swimming. Right, now we have to get animal health certificates, and I have made another video. I'll link it in the description below so you can watch that one. Most vets now know how to fill in the form. It's basically a form that you get. It can cost up to £200 per dog. I was lucky that my vet knew how to do them. There were a number of people who live near me who have houses in France, and he already knew how to fill the form in, and he put all 3 dogs onto one animal health certificate. So it wasn't that expensive for me to get it. You have to have your rabies jab done at least 3 weeks before you get your animal health certificate, and then once you have your animal health certificate you can travel to Europe and then technically go to a vet and get an EU passport for your dog, because the animal health certificate will only last you for 2 months, and it only lasts for a single trip. So it's just really expensive piece of paper. I got my passports for my dogs in France, but now, and I gave my friend's address. So the vet said, "Where are you staying?" And I said, "Oh, this is my address. I am staying here." Right? Well, I think she said, "Where are you living?" And I said, "Staying." So she might think staying and living are the same thing. I don't know. But I gave an address, my friend's address, and I used the same vet that my friend used, and it was all fine. But now, that was summer 2021. Now, after that, the French government had to clamp down because they realised how many British people were doing this. And they've said you have to have proof that you live in France. Some cases you even have to have your dog's microchip recognised in France. So it's a lot harder for tourists, people just travelling through France, to get the passport in France. It's still quite easy to get in Spain, and I've heard it's still quite easy to get in other countries as well, like Belgium, Netherlands, Germany. Those countries have not had the crackdown. So when you get your EU passport from whatever country, you might pay as little as €9 for a passport, right, for one dog. So that's how cheap it is, and it lasts forever, right? So obviously €9 is a lot better than paying €200 every holiday, £200 every holiday, right? It's way cheaper. The things to remember once you've got your passport is you have to have your rabies done. Well, hopefully you'd have it done every 3 years. Some vets only do it for 1 year. There's different types of vaccine. There's 1 year, 2 year and 3 year. So hopefully you would have the vaccine done for 3 years, and then you only have to get it done again in 3 years time. But when you get your rabies jab done again, it has to be in the EU. You can't go to a vet in the UK to get your rabies done and it recorded in their passport. Your vet in the UK cannot touch that passport. Okay, they just can't, because they are not part of the EU. So all your rabies jabs have to be done in the EU. It would even be cheaper for you to go to France for the day to get your rabies jabs done than to have to go through the animal health certificate again. So you need to keep an eye on when your rabies jabs are due, and then find a vet that will do 3-year vaccine, because it's real pain having to go every year. Also, the rabies doesn't exist in Western Europe anyway. I mean, it's a real problem in Morocco, and a lot of people do go through Spain to Morocco, but it's not really a problem. The other issue is the worming pill. When you come back to the UK, you have to get a worming pill from a vet. So I paid €20 for each dog when I came back, and I didn't pay. Actually, when I was in France, they made me pay a consultation appointment, but when I was in Spain, they didn't. Vets in Spain are way cheaper than vets in France. So yeah, they're probably, I don't know, 20% of the price of vets in the UK. They're really cheap. So the worming pill has to be given between 2 days and 5 days before you arrive in England. So if you're going on a long ferry, like the ferries from Spain to England, you have to take into account the length of time on the ferry. So you can't do 5 days before you leave Spain. Okay, it's 5 days before you arrive in the UK. So you need to be careful of that, and that's just to make sure your dog's free of worms when they entering the UK. You would normally worm your dog every 6 months, so that worming pill is instead of the worming pill you would get from your own vet. Thanks for watching this video about my dogs and travelling. I know you also need animal health certificates for cats. I have seen cats that go abroad in the camper vans. I've also seen parrots, and I've heard of someone taking a snake as well, actually. Don't know about that, but anyway, it is actually really easy to travel with your dog. I think it makes your holiday a lot more fun, because what I do is I try and find places where my dogs want to be. So my dogs love the beach, they love swimming, and actually I like those things as well. So I tend to find places where I can walk to a restaurant but that aren't in town. So ideally I'd walk for like 20 or 30 minutes and get to a restaurant. Ideally we'd be able to swim. There'd be lots of open places, so they'd be able to run without being on a lead. And yeah, you end up in nature, you end up swimming a lot. So if you take your dog, let your dog choose where you want to go, you'd actually end up with a really relaxing holiday. You end up at park hubs, which costs you nothing. You end up exercising, swimming in the sea, which costs you nothing. And it's like way more relaxing and far more fun than ever staying in a hotel or Airbnb or something. You just get to do whatever your dogs want to do. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Right, bye.